A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise.
Welcome back to Trending Celebrates, where we break down the world's biggest stories and what they mean for you. I'm Sylvan, and today we're diving deep into the escalating crisis in the Middle East after the United States bombed key Iranian nuclear sites, a move that sent shockwaves across the globe. What led to this moment? How are Iran, Israel, and the U.S. responding? And what could happen next? Stay tuned as we unpack the latest, the history, and the stakes. To understand today's crisis, we need to rewind. The tension between Iran, Israel, and the United States isn't new. Decades of rivalry, proxy conflicts, and nuclear ambitions have set the stage for this explosive moment. Back in 1988, Iran's founder, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, ended the devastating Iran-Iraq war by accepting a ceasefire, a decision he described as drinking from a chalice of poison. The survival of the Islamic Republic was at stake, and the scars from that era still shape Iranian leadership today. Fast forward to now, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader since 1989, faces a similarly agonizing choice. After years of building Iran into a regional and nuclear power, much of that legacy is now under threat. At 86, Khamenei must decide whether to fight on or seek a way out, possibly at great personal and national cost. On June 22, 2025, the U.S. launched airstrikes against key Iranian nuclear facilities. President Trump quickly claimed success, boasting that the sites had been totally obliterated. But not everyone in the administration echoed his confidence. The vice president stopped short of fully backing Trump's assertion, hinting that the situation on the ground might be more complex than the headlines suggest. In Tehran, the mood was defiant. Protesters filled the streets, waving images of Khomeini and Khamenei, and denouncing Israel's role in the attacks. Iran's foreign ministry declared, "The Islamic Republic of Iran is determined to protect its territory, sovereignty, security, and citizens against the United States' criminal aggression using all available force and means." Iran wasted no time in responding. Within hours, it launched a significant missile offensive against Israel and warned that the 40,000 American troops stationed across the region could be targets. The big question: will Iran's counterattacks be short-lived, or is this the start of a much larger conflict? Experts believe Iran has a playbook ready. Eli Jeremiah, an Iran specialist at the European Council on Foreign Relations, says Iran anticipated this situation and will have organized a series of reactions. She predicts an immediate escalation of attacks against Israel and warns that U.S. attempts to draw red lines will likely fail. According to her, attacks against the United States are now unavoidable and will be swift and multifaceted. Iran's options for retaliation are vast and potentially devastating. First, they could block the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is a choke point for global oil shipments. If Iran blocks it, oil prices could skyrocket, sending shockwaves through the world economy. Second, they could attack Gulf state infrastructure. Iran could target the energy infrastructure of its regional rivals, as it did in 2019, disrupting oil supplies and increasing instability. Third, cyber warfare is a real threat. Iran's cyber capabilities are among the most advanced in the region, disrupting financial systems, infrastructure, or even military communications is well within its reach. Fourth, Iran could use proxy attacks. It has a network of allies and proxies, from Hezbollah in Lebanon to militias in Iraq and Syria. It could activate these groups to strike Israeli and American interests regionally and even globally. Finally, there's even talk of possible coordination with groups like Al-Qaeda to expand the conflict's reach. Iran knows it can't win a direct war against the US and Israel, but it's determined to ensure its adversaries pay a heavy price. One of the biggest obstacles to de-escalation is trust, or the lack of it. After President Trump unilaterally pulled the U.S. out of the 2015 nuclear deal in 2018, Iran's leadership has been deeply skeptical of any American promises. Even if a new agreement were reached, many in Iran's government and public wonder, can Trump be trusted to keep his word and lift sanctions? This lack of trust makes diplomatic solutions much harder. As one analyst put it, could trust Trump provide sanctions and ensure compliance? For now, the answer seems to be no. Despite the fiery rhetoric and military moves, history shows that negotiation is always possible, even in the darkest moments. Remember Khomeini's chalice of poison moment in 1988? He accepted a ceasefire not because he wanted to, but because the survival of the nation demanded it. Today, Khamenei faces a similar crossroads. If Iran's counterattacks are forceful enough to convince its people that the country hasn't surrendered, there's a chance he might consider talks with the US to end the conflict. But with trust at rock bottom, any negotiation would be fraught with suspicion and risk. The consequences of this conflict extend far beyond Iran, Israel, and the US. If fighting intensifies, neighboring countries could be drawn in either directly or through proxy forces. Oil markets are already jittery, and any disruption in the Persian Gulf could have global economic repercussions. American troops across the Middle East are on high alert. Israel is bracing for further missile attacks. And ordinary people in all three countries are left wondering what tomorrow will bring. So what's next? Here are three possible scenarios. First, escalation. Iran launches more attacks, the US and Israel respond with even greater force, and the conflict spirals out of control. Second, limited retaliation. Iran's response is strong but measured, designed to save face at home without provoking all-out war. This could open the door to back-channel negotiations. Third, a diplomatic breakthrough. After initial clashes, both sides step back from the brink and agree to talks, though this would require a major leap of faith on both sides. Right now, the world is holding its breath. The decisions made in the coming days could shape the Middle East and global security for years to come. That's the latest on the Iran-Israel U.S. crisis after the bombing of Iran's nuclear sites. What do you think will happen next? Can diplomacy prevail, or are we heading for a wider war? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more in-depth coverage of the world's biggest stories. I'm Sylvan, and this is Trending Celebrates, where we celebrate the stories that shape our world. Stay safe, stay informed, and see you in the next video.